Hello, welcome to Riverfront territory. I am Trent Rosecrans, senior writer at The Athletic, and this is my co-host, the two-time nominee for the Roberto Clemente Award, Mr. Danny
Oh,
Graves. Yeah, you thought I was gonna you're used to me doing I don't know, making fun of you or something because you're like a Reds Hall of Famer, and so I guess I do that just to make myself feel a little bit better. But no, that's awesome. That's one of my favorite things. I think that's got to be pretty high up there in honors because that is for not exactly what you've done on the field, but for who you are off the field, and look at that, ending the new year on a good one, right, Danny?
I know, dude. I'm telling you, you make me feel so cool. In these openings, it's I don't even know. I'm very humbled to hear these things. But yeah, I think as a player, you obviously want people to realize how good you are on the field, but I think more importantly, a lot of us want people to know who we are off the field or in the clubhouse. Like you see us in the clubhouse a certain way and doing certain things. Not looking for notoriety, but just looking to help people, and,
Right.
It's definitely an honor because Roberto Clemente, that's not just a name just thrown out there. That's a big deal.
Yeah. I would suggest anyone, if you haven't read, I believe it's David Marinus who wrote a unbelievable biography of Roberto Clemente, and that's a great book. Just one of my absolute heroes. And if he had 0 hits, he would still be one of my heroes. He had 3,000. So
yeah. I mean, I need to read that book.
It's phenomenal.
Read that.
It's phenomenal. It is a really good one. So, all right. Well, what we're going to do here. We are recording this on the last day of 2015. Sorry, or 2025. Jeez.
Ooh, 2015.
Back when I was a young man.
Listen, I've been watching Twilight Zone all morning, and they've been going back in time, so it's not a coincidence that just happened, right?
yeah. So that's we're gonna look back at 2025 real quick, and I apologize real quick that this didn't come out sooner. Had life, we all have it happen. So anyway, so okay, Danny, you think of the 2025 Reds season. What comes to mind?
Well, first of all, Terry Francona. Yeah. I mean, I think it would be a disgrace not to throw him out there immediately from my end, anyways. As a former player who never got to play with or for a guy that everybody wanted to play for, and to see him be a part of this organization, it's like, oh my gosh, this is for real. This isn't not Tito's not coming here just to rebuild or come here to babysit prospects. Tito's here to try to win. So I think for me, 2025, at least going into it, that was a huge positive thing for me.
All right. This is a question I want to ask you then. Perfect timing. How important is the manager? And one of the things I've said a lot is that even as somebody like me who is in the clubhouse daily, I think what I can see is maybe 10% of the job of a manager. What do you think about that statement that 90% is not stuff that even I would see as a guy who goes in and talks to the guy every day?
Yeah. So managers, okay, it's almost like the conversation we had as closers. Not everybody can be a closer, but you can be a great setup man or a great middle reliever. Not everybody can be a manager, but you could be a great coach, a great pitching coach, a great hitting coach, or infield, outfield coach, whatever. Managers are special because they know how to navigate 25, or is it 26 on the roster?
26 now.
26 different personalities, possibly 26 different egos, and then having to understand how to handle the media side while you're trying to be truthful and protect your players and staff. There's so many other things that go into being a manager that people don't understand. It's not just, yes, you're a genius at the game and you write the lineup and you do in-game decisions, but you also have other people helping with those in-game decisions. You have data that's helping with in-game decisions, but the manager at the end of the day is the one that is the boss of everything. And he has to look at everything. It's not just one specific thing that he has to be aware of. So it's really managing 26 plus however many coaches and then however many media, managing all these people around him on a daily basis. And that's not easy to do.
Well, I mean, I guess one thing that is helpful is you mentioned the egos in the clubhouse of the players, and none of the media guys have egos, so that makes the job a little easier.
Yes, that's right.
Well, it's funny. So, like, I kind of think of it's going to be hard for me to think of anything really other than what we saw in Milwaukee at the end. Just making the playoffs and this team, despite everything. What's really funny is I've kind of thought about this a little bit, was there's always different scenes of that, right? That stick out in your mind. But one of them that will always kind of pop up for me is that moment they clinched. A lot of times it's on the field, right? Jay Bruce hits a walk-off home run. Everybody celebrates. Everybody knows what's going on. It's a little bit different when the clinching is done elsewhere. And this year, like, the Reds had just ended their game. And I like that baseball now has everybody start at the same time on the last day.
Yes.
We had that one year. Was that 2011 or 10 that it was just massive with the Rays and the
Cardinals were part of that.
There was just like all these things happened on the last day, but kind of like it happening at once. So the Reds game ended and they needed to beat the Brewers or have the Mets lose to the Marlins. And the Reds lost to the Brewers. And we go downstairs, as we do, and when I think they were in the ninth inning, the Marlins and Mets in Miami, just going into the top of the ninth. And so basically, like, we were probably the eighth when they ended. And so we're sitting there and we're standing outside the clubhouse because we're like, hey, they're like, we're not going to do anything till that game's over because really nothing you say is going to matter or anybody is going to, you're all writing about clinching or not clinching and we don't know it. And so, like, cool, we're waiting outside the clubhouse and like there's a TV right by the guard stand or guard or attendant or whatever. There's a TV right there. And with that, they have the game on. And so that's great. So we're watching. There's one out in the top of the ninth, and the Marlins are leading. And all of a sudden, like, behind us is the truck that they're going to pack up because the equipment truck is kind of crazy. And so they're packing up the equipment truck because they know they're leaving. That truck does not know where it's going, whether it's going to Cincinnati or Los Angeles. And so we're sitting there, and then the players' families are right outside there too. And so it's the wives, kids, parents, etc. And we're by the door, and they're kind of on the other side of the truck. And all of a sudden, we're watching out. There's still one out. All of a sudden, you just hear all of them and then the players inside. You hear them both start celebrating. We're like, okay, well, we know what happened, but we don't know exactly how. So we're watching the TV in the club or outside the clubhouse that is delayed a little bit. Apparently, not delayed as long as the game day. The cast on their webs on the phone, and so they're all celebrating. And then we kind of look up at the monitor of the TV and double play. Reds in, and it's like, oh, okay, it was cool. So that's it. Like, like clinching is special. Did you ever experience that? Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like
not with Cincinnati. No, with Cleveland, I did.
Okay, yeah. So what is that like?
So I was a rookie in 1996, and I'm in the bullpen. We're in Chicago playing the White Sox, and I don't even remember what the score was. Like, we clinched pretty early because
Yeah.
those teams
But
in the mid '90s with Cleveland were clinching early. It never went down to the wire, but it was early in September, and I just remember just being a rookie, and they asked Eric Plunk to go in and go and finish the game. Veteran guy, they wanted him to be on the mound when we were celebrating, and he gets the last out, and Trent, it was like the rest was a blur. I just remember smelling like alcohol, champagne. I had a playoff hat that was just drenched in champagne, and I'm thinking I wasn't even here for most of the year, and I get to enjoy this. I get to be a part of this, and it was just, I mean, it was just a crazy feeling. Thinking rookie year, I'm already in the playoffs, and then unfortunately never made it again.
yeah, I've been in several of those celebrations, and you kind of just stay to the outside, even though like it was funny. I looked back at it, and it looked like I was trying to get in all the shots, and I was really trying to stay away from the camera, and apparently I kept getting in the shots. But those are fun, and you just try to lay low because some people will like go towards the media in a good-natured way and make sure you get a little wet.
Yeah,
and so. Yeah.
In Milwaukee, didn't they have on the Jumbotron too during on the field?
Yeah.
Game,
and so
which was really cool because they didn't have to do that.
No, and they put like congratulations Reds. The Reds
Yeah.
went out and took their photo, and it was really cool by the Brewers class organization. Just a classy move. So it's cool. All right, what else you got? 2025.
Dude, okay, so Chase Burns, I got to mention this dude. I watched this kid grow up in college, and his last year at Wake Forest was just a dominating season. And I even tweeted out before the draft, wouldn't it be something if the Reds took him at number 2? And then I got all this backlash. People were like, "You're crazy. You got to take the best player in the draft." And I'm thinking, well, he's the best arm in the draft. You can't have enough pitching. So thankfully, the Reds took him at number 2. He makes his debut, and I mean, I think not only myself, I think the baseball world was in awe of what he did in those first few innings against the Yankees.
I mean, nobody's done that. Their first 5 batters they struck out, and not only that, after the first 2, who were the 1 and 2 in the Yankees lineup, it was 3 former MVPs in a row.
Yeah.
To strike out Judge to end the first and just walk off that inning. Like, the guy walked off, but it wasn't like it wasn't like mission accomplished, like a celebration. It was, yep, I'm here. This is what I do. There was a confidence. There was a pep in the step. I mean, no doubt. But just the way he handled it, and it wasn't a shock to him. Like, that's who I am. Announce your presence with authority, as one man once said.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way to say it. I think he's very confident in his abilities, but he's a very humble guy. And those two, obviously, it's like an oxymoron, right? To be humble and confident, or humble and arrogant. But he believes in his stuff, and I think people saw. And if he would have done whatever he wanted to do arrogantly off the mound, I don't think anybody would have said anything, because this is an intimidating young man. And if you don't know him, you're going to be scared to death of him. But I think just to see him come out lights out, and the moment not being too big, I think was awesome.
And Judge, I mean, like, you're talking, when you got drafted, who are you looking forward to face? Well, Aaron Judge,
Sure,
and then to do it, to end your first inning, walk off the mound, strike out the side, and get Judge. Just that was special. That was really special. Like, debuts are awesome. I always love every debut. They're all their own thing, but some are different than others, and that one was different.
Yes, that was extremely. I remember. I don't know if I texted you also at that moment, but I was texting like everybody.
Well, you texted me when they drafted him, or did I text you? One of us. Well, we were talking. Yeah.
Either way, we were talking, and I was trying to tell you how great he was, and I know that I texted John Sadak and Barry Larkin during the game, like, after that first inning, I'm like, what do y'all think? Like they're going to say anything else, right? What do you
What
think
else could
think?
you say?
Yeah. Electric, I think is what Barry said. That's it.
Yeah.
But it was a dominating performance. And I know people are going to say, well, he's still not ready, whatever they want to say. This kid is ready. He's got everything he needs.
All right. You know what? For my next one, I'm going to go to another debut, and that would be one Sal Stewart.
Yeah.
What I remember from one of the things I'll remember from spring was one of Stewart's first games in the Cactus League, and Terry Francona afterwards just saying, "I don't know when, but this kid is going to hit in the big leagues. He's going to be a good hitter in the big leagues." And I also remember the year before, Sal was mad when he got sent down. Nobody expected him. He was an invite to camp, his first camp, and he was convinced he was making the team. There was zero chance. Everybody else knew that, but Sal didn't know that, right?
But did he have a good spring?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he could hit. You could just tell he could hit. And he had hit. And that's the thing. It's like, to him, okay, I'm going to do this. And then again, last year, it's almost like in Major League when Ricky Vaughn comes in, is like, you may think I'm now, but every time I come and get you, I'm going to shove it up. And that is kind of like how he felt. So I don't know. I love that in a player. And when you are that good defensively, that's saying, or offensively, that's saying something. But you know what's funny, Danny? What I'm going to remember most about Sal Stewart from his rookie year, and there's a lot. There's the fun stuff with Manny Machado that I wrote about, and all that. But what I'm going to remember is after they were eliminated. That was his start. He started, had 2 hits in that game. Finished he drove in runs. It was a really nice performance, but he had a little bit of a misplay in the field. And after the game, here's a guy who had a good game at the plate. He was inconsolable. He just sat there and he said to me, "I cost my team the game." And even a guy who has said that before, Danny Graves has said that before. It's never just Danny Graves. It's never Sal Stewart. And it was one of those where he was inconsolable, and he was like, you could just tell all he was thinking was like, that's not going to happen again. I'm going to do the work. And I believe you're going to see a better defender this year because of that moment. And so this is a kid who had 19 total big league games, 2 of those being playoff games in his career. He already has 4 times as many postseason RBI as Joey Votto, with 4, and Joey had 1. And he's thinking about his defense. That's not a glove. There's some guys who just, the glove is optional, and Sal is not. He's not as talented there as he is at the plate, but I don't know. It might be one of those stories that I tell again in 10 years, right?
Yeah, because in 10 years he might have a Gold Glove or 2 because of the work that he's put in. And I'm not predicting Gold Gloves for Sal Stewart. I'm just saying you just never know, because you see the determination in this kid. Because at that moment where he's blaming himself, and like you said, we've all blamed ourselves, and of course it's not just one person, but he's not saying, at least I drove in a couple runs, or at least I did something offensively. He wants to get better at what he's not as good at, and you love seeing that, no matter what the age is. But when you see a guy in his rookie year with 19 career games, that's unheard of. You don't see a lot of guys worried about that, especially these days when there's a DH in both leagues, where people say, okay, my glove can't be optional. If I can hit, they're going to play me somewhere, right? I'll have a job somewhere.
Well, no, Sal Stewart says, I'm going to go out and lose weight. I'm going to get in better shape, and I'm going to go play defense the best I can. And apparently he's lost a bunch of weight, and he's ready to go. And, I mean, this is going to be a leader for this team for a long time. You could tell just by the way that he's going about things already. So, I mean, there's a lot of good upside. I can't wait to see him in a full year in the big leagues.
All right. Anything else you got? What else you got?
Yeah. So I know you're gonna like go crazy about this one because it was a debacle. I was so looking forward to the Speedway Classic. I went up before to Bristol to represent the Reds, and Tim Hudson went to represent the Braves. We drove around the track and did all the cool stuff, and we were both so excited about the Speedway Classic coming because I'm a gearhead. I love NASCAR, and just the way that they redid this whole track to put a baseball field in the middle was just amazing and beautiful. And then all of a sudden it was just a dud.
Right? Yeah, it was one of the coolest events I had seen up until first pitch. Just because I'm a guy. I've been to a fair amount of sporting events in my life. I've been to a lot of SEC football games. I've been to 100,000 people, in a Neyland Stadium and all that. But this, man, this was even bigger. It was massive, and it was a different scale. And I thought they did a really cool, the pregame stuff was all pretty cool and everything. And then the rain came. And it is certainly something I will always remember just because it was such a debacle. I had stayed an hour and a half away because I figured, with Field of Dreams, I did the same thing. That was just because that was the only place I could get, but this was more by design because it's okay, after the game, I'll have adrenaline, I'll be already an hour and a half down the road for the next morning, when I go to sleep and wake up and can get home. And it was not like that. And I actually didn't go to the resumption of the game because I was just no, I'm done, dog. None of this for me. And it was just waiting around for hours. They knew they really wanted to get this game in, and they tried everything. But then it was just like Fyre Festival for MLB. The food ran out quickly, the beers ran out quickly. Even before that, I know they didn't have as many. Apparently, they were expecting a lot more Braves fans than Reds fans, so there was a lot more Braves merch.
Really?
The Reds. Oh yeah, the Reds merch was. I mean, it was sold out. I had a buddy who was big on that, and he had infield tickets, which were the expensive ones, and he said he didn't get anything. He got there right when it opened, and he couldn't get anything. It was all sold out, all the Red stuff. And then, anything that had both teams was next to go. And by the end, you could get Braves-branded merch from the Speedway Classic, but not Reds at the thing. So I think that was because just traditionally, the Braves, it was kind of halfway between, a little closer to Atlanta, and that's
but barely.
barely. But so yeah, and the Braves were just having a terrible season. So
yeah,
and so nothing was going right at that time, and you don't know that when you're doing all this in advance. Right. The Braves were, I think they might have been my World Series pick. So people were expecting a lot more from them than this.
Right.
I
agree with that.
It was a cluster. A friend of mine, he went to Monterey. We both went to that, and that was just one of the coolest events I've been at.
Yes.
MLB does these things. They're usually first class. I did that one. I did Field of Dreams. The Speedway, though.
Well, it's almost like the MLB didn't plan for rain.
Right.
They didn't know what to do if it was going to rain. How does that happen?
And you talk to anybody from there, oh yeah, this time of year, you got to worry about it because it just could happen. And
and the people at Bristol are great too. I know they were looking forward to this so much, and to have it turn out the way it did was just so unfortunate, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of lessons have been learned for baseball and everybody else from that one. But man, like what I will remember is, so after a couple hours, we're sitting there in delay. They brought pizza up to the press box, and then after that, after like a lot of the pizza was eaten, because it wasn't going to sit around all day, people are going to eat it. Like some of the rain kept coming down harder, and I was sitting on the front row of the press box. Well, these are like not traditional press boxes. These are like makeshift stands, like erector set looking stuff. And you're like, oh God, I hope it doesn't get too windy because we might die, or at least fall. And somebody would break my fall. So as long as I'm not on top, I'm going to survive. But the workers came out and they had the pizza boxes turned inside out and were like, hey, do you want this to guard your computer from the rain? And I had like a trash bag that I had like over my laptop and that I'm writing in there like that. And it was insane. So, but I'll always remember like the people on the front row, I think mine had already packed up by then actually, were like having pizza boxes, inside out pizza boxes
That's beautiful.
to protect their laptops and try to write this cluster. So yeah.
That's actually pretty amazing. That's probably the best story of that whole debacle.
I think it encapsulates it,
Yeah, like
the best of what you can do. You're trying hard. The people who were working there were awesome. I am not like they were amazing, and they did their best, and it was a tough situation for everyone. But
hopefully it'll happen again. I don't know, at Bristol again or maybe somewhere else, but I really hope that they give this another shot because it was a really cool idea.
It was a cool idea. Just the rain. Just worst case scenario. Like and you can never anticipate that. Like you can plan for it, and I think they can plan better, but you can't know that it's going to happen. And sometimes, like I don't know if you remember when the All-Star game was here in 2015. Oh my God, the rain we got here that day at the All-Star game was unbelievable. Like we were at the media day press conference stuff, and there was like tornado warnings. Yeah. And I remember like my wife called and was like, a big tree fell in our yard and all this stuff. And but what happened was they shortened the home run derby. That was the new format that year.
Yeah.
And they shortened it to like, instead of I think like 5 minutes for each round, 3 minutes. And that turned out to be great because 5 would have been way too long in that format. And we see it now. And like they could even go like a minute shorter. And maybe they have since then. But it was like it was a good thing that happened because they shortened it to try to avoid the rain, and then you had just this amazing home run derby. That rain may have saved the home run derby.
Yeah, for a hometown kid to win it.
Yeah. All right, and then so my last one, I'm going to do this. This is a twofer, and two catches I will always remember. TJ Friedl, a game ender against the Brewers, because, that's a pretty cool walk-off. There are walk-off hits, and then there's a walk-off robbery.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. But then last homestand of the year, maybe it was the last home game of the year, I don't remember right off the top of my head, but that was Noel V. Marte.
Yeah.
Stealing, that is a game-tying homer.
Yep.
When you need every win that you can get to save your season and keep in. And here's a guy who went from the infield and looked shaky in the infield to one who, had his growing pains in the outfield, but just seemed looser once he went to the outfield. And I think that's kind of a big thing going forward. But when he made that game-saving catch against Brian Reynolds, it was the second out. So instead of Friedel's 27th out, this was the 26th out. I think both had Emilio Pagan on the mound. So Emilio, I always think of some of those things, like when people do something there was one year where Dan Straley, Billy Hamilton just had everything was with Dan Straley on the mail. So you got those reaction shots. Emilio Pagan got his reaction shots for those two. There was a Ellie De La Cruz play where Brent Suter jumped up and it was fun, but like, I don't know. I'll always remember those and just what that meant for a kid like Noelvi. Such a nice kid who's worked so hard and is looking better in that position. That's going to be big.
Yeah, and the thing about that, you mentioned it, he's not an outfielder. He wasn't an outfielder. I mean, now he is, but I mean, yeah, you throw this guy out there because he's struggling on the infield, but you need his bat in the lineup, and you try to get him some reps out there. And one of the biggest moments of the season for him in the outfield makes that catch. And the reaction, I remember seeing this, Pagan, like I love the reactions from the pitchers because there's usually some bad word mixed in there or let's go or something.
Because like when it's hit, you're like, oh God.
Yes.
I just like, because I'm sure Emilio, knowing Emilio, he knew. And he was like, I know where I am. He hit that. I think that's good. Oh, no. I just gave up the lead.
Yeah. There's a different sound off the bat when it's going to be a homer. And, like, I'm sure he heard that sound, and it's like, oh, this isn't coming back.
Well, and there's a different one at Great American because you're like, I don't know. Maybe I got – because you can have a perfect pitch and get exactly what you want, and it finds the seats.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when you say, get down, get down. You don't want it too high. You can hit it hard, but just not too high.
Do you remember anybody like doing that for you? Like a game that like a catch that just
Jeffrey
stands
Hammonds.
out?
Jeffrey Hammonds in the ninth inning at Synergy. It was when they tore off the back part of the stadium to get the new stadium going. And it was I don't remember what year it was, but was it 01 or 02 when that was happening?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, David DeLucci for the Diamondbacks came in to pinch hit, and he smoked a ball. And I'm like, I just blew another one, just blew another save. And Hammonds comes out of nowhere, dude, and just jumps up and robs it. And I'm like, oh, my God, like screaming, like doing this. Like, oh, it was unbelievable.
I love that, like, that's at the top of your mind because you know that. Like, as soon as I mentioned, like, saving and the pitcher, you were like, oh, yeah, it's there.
Yeah. Oh.
And God bless you, Jeffrey Hammonds.
Yes. And then from then on, I'm like, whatever you want, Ham, it's yours. You just tell me.
It's awesome. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. You got any more?
No. I'm sure we could go on in different moments, but those were huge, what we just talked about.
Well, and so keeping this on theme, we will then be back later this week with kind of what we're looking forward to in 2026. So the first, we'll see how quickly I get this up. The first either the first or second podcast of Riverfront Territory in 2026 will be looking ahead to 2026 as we just kind of put 2025 to bed. So for you and everyone else out there, Happy New Year. This is Riverfront Territory, a Foul Territory podcast. And please rate and review us. 5 stars in your new year, I don't know, make it your resolution to help old Danny Graves out.
To only give 5
we all love
stars.
Danny. Yeah. If can't say anything nice to, well, no, you can say, constructive criticism we're all about, but,
All about that, yeah. Just be nice doing it.
Just be nice. We like having fun here and keeping this a fun space. So
that's right.
And that's us. So anyway, till next time, I'm C. Trent Rosecrans. He is Reds Hall of Famer, 2-time Clemente Award nominee, Danny Graves. And we'll talk to you later. And finish.